Let's try that again. No. Hey, what's up guys? Porsche here with another video about my GT3 RS. Today's video is going to be about the top 10 favorite things about the car. If you saw my last video, it was about the 10 things I hate the most, and this is going to be the exact opposite. However, you will probably end up seeing that some of my same aspects that I hate the most might be some of my favorite things too at the same time. That being said, I want to apologize to any of you who've been subscribing and wondering, hey man, why were you doing videos, 2 or 3 a week, and 2 or 3 weeks go by with no videos? What happened? I guess I would say fortunately, things have been really crazy at work for me the past few weeks, and I have to prioritize work over YouTube, so in any case, if you do like this video, try to check out some of my other videos and think about subscribing. Anyway, let's get into it. Number 1. Now, just a reminder, these things on my list, my top 10 favorite things about my GT3 RS, these things are not in order necessarily of number 1 being my favorite thing and number 10 being of the favorites, the least favorite. But in any case, number 1 is these seats. Oh my god, I love these seats. Absolutely love them. Best seats I've ever had, and they're beautiful. I mean, let's see if we can't even really see through here. Sorry, but these things are just gorgeous. The carbon fiber looks amazing. The leather that's on them feels great. The Alcantara feels great. And the seating position is just phenomenal. Like, I know that some people would think that it's a little bit too much for a daily driver. It's just too upright. It's not comfortable enough, all those kind of things. But I completely disagree. They're extremely comfortable. They hold you in place so well. They feel so good. And if you watch my hate video, it was actually one of the things I had on my list was getting in and out, but it's worth it. There's a pro and con to a lot of things, right? I love how they feel. It's a little bit funny getting in and out. No big deal. I can deal with the getting in and out because they're so amazing. Anyway, let's talk about the next thing. Number 2. Number 2. This is going to be kind of goofy because I don't usually go after how things just look, but God, I absolutely love these front vents. I know it sounds kind of corny, kind of goofy, whatever you want to say, but I really love how they look, and I specifically really love how the new style, more aggressive vent looks. This is the same vent that you would see on the GT2 RS. It is different from the vent that was on the GT3 RS. That was the 991 Gen 1. It's quite a bit bigger, especially on the amount that it flares out, and it's just one of those things where when you see that vent on a Porsche, you know it's a GT2 RS or a GT3 RS, and it just looks so aggressive. Alright, number 3. Let's bring it along back. If I was going to rank things in order, this would probably actually be my number 1 most favorite. The exhaust, not how it looks, but the sound. So I know I just did a little quick cold start for you guys there a second ago, but I'll do another one because that's what we're talking about. probably my favorite part about the car is the exhaust note. Oh man, it just sounds so good. Anyway, next up on the list is number 4. Number 4 is actually the transmission, and this is one of the biggest things I didn't like also on my hate video, you would call it. The transmission, yeah, it's not manual, and I wish it was manual, but for an automatic, oh my god, it's amazing. It shifts so fast, it feels so good, and I've mentioned this many other times in some of my other videos, but I absolutely love holding the stick. Like it has a very similar height to the stick on a stick shift vehicle, and it actually putting it in manual mode and shifting it up and down like a sequential transmission, it feels really satisfying. For me, it's the closest I've ever gotten to a manual transmission feel on an automatic. Quite a bit better than the GTR I had before this. All right, number 5. Number 5 is actually gonna probably catch a lot of you guys by surprise because I know it caught me by surprise. The speakers in this car, I'm just showing you a little Bose logo here, but the speakers in this car are really, really good. You know, everything on this car was like weight savings, weight savings, weight savings. And so I was expecting the speaker systems to be really bad because of weight savings. I figured even with the upgraded Bose system, which is what I have on this car, I figured they'd still be probably a lightweight speaker, and because they were lightweight, they probably wouldn't be able to put out very much bass, and the clarity probably wouldn't be that great. But I gotta tell you guys, I mean, my Raptor I have out here, it has a I think it's Bang & Olufsen, I believe is the brand. It has the upgraded sound system in that as well, which when I got that truck, I was like, man, this is like the best factory sound system I've ever heard. And it sounds great. This sounds better. My wife, she just got recently got a brand new XC90 T8 Inscription, and she got the optional Bowers & Wilkins sound system, which is like the craziest, probably one of the craziest sound systems you'll see in any car ever, as far as you know, the setup and the cost they put into that system. But you know, I honestly think this sounds that much better than that too. It's very bassy, but not so bassy that it, you know, you sound like you've got a huge 15-inch sub in your truck. It's just like, it's a perfect sound for the type of, I listen to kind of a mix of like rock and hip hop mostly, and it's like perfect for that. It gets really loud, very clear. You don't get really muddied vocals. So anyway, big fan of the sound system. If you're thinking about getting a GT3 RS, definitely spend the extra, I think it's like $1,500 or something to get the upgraded sound system. On to number 6. Number 6 and number 7 are going to be really similar because they kind of work together to do the same job. But number 6 is the rear wheel steering. This is a interesting feature. It's the first car I've ever owned that had that feature, and it's awesome. So rear wheel steering will make it so that depending on what speed you're going, it'll either, like if you're doing slow speeds, the front wheel will turn, let's say your front wheel is going to turn left, your rear wheel will actually turn the opposite direction, which will give you a smaller circumference of circle. So if let's just say you're doing a U-turn, it gives you a very tight U-turn, and driving around town, I mean, oh my god, I can do like, it's like I'm driving a Civic or something with the U-turns I can do in this thing. And then number 7, again, I just mentioned they're kind of similar. Number 7 is the suspension. The suspension is phenomenal. Again, if you watched my GT3 RS Gen 1 versus Gen 2 video, which I believe is probably the best video I've ever made. Not trying to brag, it's just some of my other videos are not that great, but that's my best video I've ever made. Check it out. But the suspension going from the 1 to the 2, Gen 1 to 2, was hugely improved, and it's a lot rougher though, and I love that rough feeling. Very connected to the road feeling in this car. I really wish Doug DeMuro would make a updated GT3 RS Gen 2 video because it deserves it. The difference is that between the Gen 1 and Gen 2, I actually reached out to him. He said he probably isn't going to do it because he's already done the GT2 RS, and that's a better car, and I totally agree with him on that. But it's also turboed, and I think this still has something special enough that, Doug, if you're watching this, I know you're not, but if you are, I think you should consider borrowing my car and doing a video on this. That being said, yeah, the suspension's amazing, and let's move into number 8. Number 8, I'm coming in here into the cabin just to stare at the tachometer so that you can see, if I could get the lighting better, that this thing redlines all the way at 9,000 RPMs. That's right, folks, 9,000 RPMs. You know, number 8 here, it does kind of coincide with one of the previous things I spoke about, which was the exhaust note. The exhaust note kind of is all part of the same system with the motor. The motor on this car is phenomenal. It's a 6-cylinder, 4-liter, flat 6. It sits right behind you, and it just sounds so good. And specifically, number 8, I'm talking about the 9,000 RPM redline. You could say that the number 8 is the motor itself. You could say it's how the motor sounds. You could say it's how the motor feels. All of those things are worth noting, and they're all tied together to bring you an amazing driving experience. It's really special. It's something you'd have to feel to understand. The best I can do is tell you to find a friend, go on a forum, find someone that's got a GT3 RS, and take them out for dinner so you can get a test drive. Something like that. All right, guys, let's move on to number 9. Number 9 is the overall styling of the car, the shape. It's classic. It still just looks like, to most people, it still looks like any other 911 on the road, probably for the past 30 years. You know, people see this and they think, that's a Porsche, that's a 911. Maybe it's a Carrera, maybe it's a turbo, but I do know that it's a Porsche and that it's a 911, which is great. And that is one of the main reasons I wanted this car instead of some of the competition, which I've talked about before. The flashiness and the perception of being a rich person that comes along with owning a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, and McLaren, that perception is not as strong with this car. The only people that might think that you're a rich person are going to be more like the car nuts, the people that actually know what it is. They say, oh, the people that know their stuff, they say, oh, I see the big wing, so it's going to be, it's either a 2RS or a 3RS, or it's modified. And then they see the fender vents and they go, okay, yep, it's an RS. And then if they see the Nakaducks on the hood, they go, okay, yeah, it definitely is. It's a Gen 2, 991 Gen 2. But for the majority of people, even a lot of people that just love cars, it kind of takes a lot of research and knowing your stuff to know like even what differences there are on the turbo or the Carrera versus a regular GT3 or just the Carrera 4S. So there's all these different models of the 911, right? There's so many now, and to know each thing for each car means that you have to be really into it. And for most people, that's just not something that they probably spent the time to do, myself included. Before I got this car, I mean, I knew a general idea of a lot of the differences between the different models, but I probably didn't know a difference between a turbo or a turbo S, or a Carrera T and a Carrera 4S. Like, you know, there's a lot of little things I didn't know. I didn't know that the new Carreras were turboed from the factory now. I thought that was wild to hear. So in any case, it is kind of nice. Going back to what I started with, number 9 is the shape, the classicness of the shape, and the fact that you don't have to be a celebrity driving around in this car. You could just be like any other guy driving around in a Porsche 911. And a lot of people think it's an older, I've had a lot of people think it's used and it's older, and that it's modified aftermarket stuff. So I kind of like that. Number 10 is gonna sound strange to many people, might trigger a lot of people, but number 10 for me is the affordability. Yeah, it sounds stupid saying that about a $225,000 car, but when you're comparing this car to the other cars in its class, which I've just mentioned previously, being something like, let's say, a McLaren 570S or 600 LT, Ferrari 488, Lamborghini Huracan, there's a variety of things that factor into this being, in my opinion, the most affordable supercar in its class, at least. So those things are resale value, if you look at GT3 RS for the past, 15 years or whatever, especially if you just look at the Gen 1 991 in particular, you will see that these cars do hold their value. In fact, the dealerships are even marking them up, oftentimes even $50,000 over MSRP. Fortunately, I had to pay nowhere close to that much over MSRP for myself, but a lot of people are paying 50 grand over MSRP. And the reason why the dealerships are able to do that is because they keep the car somewhat exclusive and because they hold their value. So someone's gonna say, oh yeah, I guess I will pay 50 grand over MSRP because unlike my Ferrari or Lamborghini McLaren car that I had previously, that thing went half value in 3 years. This thing is gonna be probably 75% of its value or more. And that's something that I like and it has some value to me. So I will pay more over MSRP. Like I said, I didn't do that. I got lucky, I got a good deal, but that's a nice thing for me. Because they hold their value so well, you're able to lease this car for an unbelievable rate compared to other cars in its class. I have other videos about this with Amazon leasing. I use Amazon leasing. If you're looking for something like what I'm talking about, hit up Josh. But because they hold their value so well, the residual is really good. And the money factor is also really good with Amazon leasing. So personally, my monthly payment is very low. It's less than $1,500 a month. And the amount of money I had to put down versus financing it was less than half than what I was gonna have to put down if I was gonna finance it. So my monthly payment is less than half of what I was gonna pay, and I put down less than half. And that is, for me, it's different for everyone. It's different on your career, right? So my career, I own a company, and the amount of money that I have in my hand is important to me because I can use that to purchase inventory and I can make a good margin with that money. The amount of margin I can make with the money in my hand is worth more than the interest rate that I'm paying. I'm paying a slightly bigger interest rate, which I think I worked out to be at $12,000 more over 3 years than if I financed the car. I'm okay with that because that $12,000 that I keep, the amount of money that I keep from the down payment, which is more than $50,000, I can make way more than $12,000 with that money, and that's important to me. So between the monthly payment stuff, the amount of money I had to put down, how much it's going to hold its value, and then the insurance cost. The insurance cost is great. I'm only paying, I want to say it was about $200 a month, maybe it was like $180. I think it was actually either the same or not slightly less than what I was paying on my Nissan GTR. So, put that in perspective, we're talking about a $64,000 used car versus a brand new $225,000 car. Very good insurance rates. I use Wawanisa. You might not be able to get the same rates if you have a different insurance company, but I do recommend Wawanisa. They have the best rates of anyone I've ever found. And that's pretty much it, guys. So those are my top 10 favorite things, and I'm sure some of these things will change as I get more time with the car. I've already put over 1,000 miles on it. It's been 1,000 miles of smiles, basically. It's been great. I have not taken it to the track yet. I'm sure I will probably change something on that list or add things to my list of my favorite things once I get the car on the track. But they do say the dealership recommends not going on the track until you put 2,000 miles on the car. So I'm getting there. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As I already mentioned, if you liked the video, check out some of my other videos. I have a lot of videos about this car. And subscribe if you want to check out my future videos. I'll try to post more stuff, guys. So bear with me, and thanks for staying.